Hello all and welcome back. With patch 10.0.7 right around the corner, I believe it is time for one final definitive Frost Mage guide for Dragonflight Season 1. As you can see, I am bold now. The reason for that is I have been pushing some keys and pugs are driving me crazy. Don't worry, I will show you how to put up amazing single target and AOE damage on any type of dungeon whatsoever. In this video, I will be talking about three main things. Number one, gear, which encompasses tier sets, embellished slots, enchants, trinkets, and so on. Number two, I will go over which consumables you should use and why they are the best ones. And number three, I will show you some sample talent trees which are used for different single target and AOE situations, as well as showing you how to execute proper DPS rotations for single target and AOE. At the end of this video, I will make an announcement for my next video, which will encompass tips and tricks for Frost Mages for every single dungeon. It's very good for those of you Mythic Plus players out there. But enough about that. And without further ado, let us get into today's video. First things first, let's talk about stat distribution. On paper, the stat priority is as follows: Mastery, Crit, Haste, and Versatility. In actuality, here is the situation. If you look at most top players, you will find that they have anywhere between 32 to 38% mastery. All of them have above 19% haste, but no more than 22% haste. Anywhere from 19 to 25% critical strike. So all of this will depend on what I will explain in the rest of the video. But if you achieve about these ratios, you should be fine. But then again, you should always use simulation and gear compare when finding out what kind of item, what kind of trinket, etc. is better for you. Now, let us talk about gear. Starting with the head, I have a tier piece equipped in this slot. For my neck piece, I like to use Elemental Lariat, which is a unique equipped embellished item. I go with crit mastery on it in order to achieve the set stats. And for gems, you should have the following. Skillful Unlimited Diamond is a unique equipped gem which gives you 75 primary stat and 66 mastery. This should definitely be equipped on Elemental Lariat if you're using it, because Elemental Lariat actually grants you this power up based on the gems that you equip on it. On my shoulder slot, I have my second embellish, which is Amis of the Blue. It basically gives you a random chance of doing more damage whenever you do damage. For the back slot, I again go with Crit Mastery item 421. I got this from the vault, and the enchant you would like on this is Graceful Avoidance. For the chest piece, again, I go with, and the enchant you would like on this is Waking Stats. This is the best enchant for Frost Mages. And on the wrist slot, I have a Haste Mastery item. I use Devotion of Avoidance, which gives me 200 avoidance on it. For my weapon, I go with Illuminating Pillar of the Isles, which is a crafted item. Again, crit mastery for the same reason. The best enchant you can equip on this is Sophic Devotion. And I also equip with it the Alchemist thing, which basically increases the duration of my Welfare bonus by 100%, and whenever I die, I do not lose the food buff. The only time where you don't want to have a crafted weapon is either you are mythic raiding and you get the nice mythic weapon, or you are just super lucky and get whatever you want from the weekly vault. Other than that, you need to have a crafted weapon. For the hand, again, we have to go with the tier slot. For the waist, I go with Haste Mastery. For the leg, again, we have tier slot. The enchant you would like to put on this is Frozen Spell Thread. For the feet piece, again, Crit Mastery. And the enchant I like to use on this is Planesrunner Breeze, which increases your movement speed. You're gonna see that most people use Watcher's Loam, which gives you stamina, which increases your HP and your survivability. Do this if you believe that you need that extra HP buff. Otherwise, I choose Planesrunner Breeze because I put mobility in front of that. Imagine you're in some key like Shadowmoon's Burial Ground, you're the only ranged DPS in the group. The boss is gonna put the debuff on you all the time, so you need to be moving out of the room. moving out of the frontal, so you need that speed. Yes, you do have blink, but if all these things are constantly on you, your blink's like not gonna be enough. For the 2 rings, I go with crafted rings, the Signet of Titanic Insight and Ringbound Hourglass. This time I use the enchant Keen Netherite, which gives you mastery and haste. On my neck piece, I used Keen Ysmerald, which gave me haste and mastery. Again, change these up depending on what you want. For the enchantment, either go with haste or critical strike. For the trinkets, I have 2 really amazing trinkets: 421 Furious Rage Feather and 421 Whispering Incarnate Icon. Here is what you can do in order to get these items. First, Whispering Incarnate Icon. The trinket is a drop from the Primal Council. At this point in the game, there are people who are actually pugging Primal Council and Aeronaut. Additionally, by doing these 2 bosses, you will have 1 slot in your weekly vault where you have a chance to obtain the item. Other amazing trinkets are Iceblood Death Snare. You can get this by doing Senarth the Cold Breath. And number 3, to my surprise, is actually Voidmender's Shadow Gem, which you can get from Shadow Moon's Burial Ground. As far as single targets is concerned, Whispering Incarnate Icon is number 1, Furious Rage Feather is number 2, which you can get from No Cud Offensive, and Eye of Skovald is number 3, which you can get from Halls of Valor. For your embellishments, there are 3 options that I'm aware of. Please do keep in mind that these heavily depend on what you decided to spend your Sparks of Ingenuity on. Okay, number 1 is what I have. Go with Elemental Lariat with the gems and Amis of the Blue. Second one is to use Azure Rope, 1 either on your shoulder piece or your chest piece, and the second on your feet piece. So in that case, instead of Elemental Lariat, I suggest using Ukel Ancestry Beads, which comes from No Cud Offensive. Number 3 is yet another interesting one. So I have seen a couple of really high players use this. They use Amis of the Blue on shoulders. For their second embellish, they actually use Potion Absorption Inhibitor, which increases the duration of Dragon Isle's potions by 50%. I am really unsure if this is worth it. Maybe there are a couple of pools like Algathar Academy where increasing the duration of your elemental potion of power by 50% actually does create that extra DPS. Now let us move on to consumables and rotations. The best food item that you can use is Grand Banquet of the Kaulak, and it gives you 75 primary stat, which is intellect, for 1 hour. Then on the weapon, I like to go with Buzzing Rune, which gives 310 critical strike for 2 hours. But be careful, when you use this, your critical strike is going to go above 25%. So if you're on a key like Algathar Academy, at that point, I believe choosing haste at the start of the dungeon is your most optimal choice. For the file, I like to go with Primal Elemental Chaos. And lastly, I like to use Elemental Potion of Power. I believe there's a stronger version of this, which is Elemental Potion of Ultimate Power, but there's rarely any of them in the auction house, and it is super expensive to get people to craft it for you, so it's not worth it. It's only like 1% DPS decrease from that to this, so might as well use this. And of course, don't forget to get refreshing healing potions. For your single talent tree, I suggest the following. Please bear in mind that this is a talent tree that I only end up using for single target encounters during raids. I would never ever use this talent tree for dungeons. The important thing about getting the maximum output when it comes to single target is 3 crucial things. 1 is proper usage of Icy Veins and Rune of Power, meaning whenever you have Icy Veins and Rune of Power, or rather the Rune of Power from Icy Veins and itself, on the ground, you should be standing on it as much as you can. That's number 1. The second one comes from doing the following. You want to use your flurries efficiently. You want to hardcast Frostbolt, follow it by flurry, and after the flurry, you want to use 2 Ice Lances, which will give increased damage because of Winter's Chill caused by flurry. Now, you might ask me whenever I show you this, oh, why do you have like so many like Fingers of Frost procs waiting, especially after using Frozen Orb? don't you get super duper DPS buff whenever you use them because of your tier set bonus? This is true, but remember, Frostbolt into Flurry is your priority. The 2 Ice Lances that you cast after Flurry will usually contain a Fingers of Frost proc anyway. So always Flurry and always Frostbolt and Flurry shattering, this is called shattering, first, and then Ice Lances. Okay? So allow me to do a demonstration. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will do the following. I will use Elemental Potion of Power. I'll pre-pot this, then use Time Warp with Icy Veins. Icy Veins is going to give me an extra Flurry charge, so technically I'm wasting 1 Flurry charge, but I'm just doing this for the purposes of this video. Okay? Now, let me show you the full thing. Okay. Pre-pot, Icy Veins and Bloodlust. Frostbolt, 1, 2. Frostbolt, Flurry, 1, 2. Frostbolt, Flurry, 1, 2. I still have Flurry charges. Frostbolt, Flurry, 1, 2. Use Rune of Power. Frostbolt, Flurry, 1, 2. Now use Frozen Orb. Keep Frostbolting until you have 2 Fingers of Frost procs. Then use Frostbolt, get the Flurry, and then do it. Now when you have 2, use them. Frostbolt, 1, 2. Frostbolt, 1, 2. Frostbolt, 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 Flurry, 1, 2. Frostbolt, Flurry, 1, 2. And it keeps on going like this. Now I have 10 seconds on Icy Veins, so I'm not going to like use my second Bloodlust. Keep doing the same. Look at my insane DPS. Okay. 1, 2. Now I use Icy Veins. I use second Bloodlust. 1, 2. 1, 2. And so on. It keeps on going like this. As you can see, it's amazing single target damage. On many bosses, I am usually the top DPS. And the rest is just like practice. For most dungeons and raid bosses which require AoE, here is the talent tree I use. Here is a slightly modified version of it that I use for Temple of the Jade Serpent. In that dungeon, there's literally only 1 mob that you can spell steal, and it only appears like 1 time. So spell steal is not worth taking it for Temple. However, remove curse is, especially in your group if you do not have a priest that can help out the healer with remove curses. And here is yet another modified version, which I specifically use for Sanguine weeks. During Sanguine, it is actually worth talenting Blast Wave, especially if your group does not have like a druid or a monk or a DK that can grip the mobs out of the Sanguine. Blast Wave comes into play. Similarly to single target, there are 3 crucial aspects of maximizing damage when it comes to AoE. 1 is again Icy Veins usage. 2 is again Time Warp usage. And the third and the most important is Frozen Orb, Blizzard, and Shifting Power usage. Now, I will show you an example, just like before, where I pre-pot, I Icy Veins, and then use Time Warp. In the demonstration, I would cast Frozen Orb first, after using these 3. I will cast Frozen Orb first, then follow it by Blizzard. Ideally, most of the time, you would want to cast Blizzard first, then go into Frozen Orb. The reason being, every time Blizzard hits mobs, it actually reduces the cooldown of your Frozen Orb. So using, let's say we have like 5, 6, 7 seconds left on Frozen Orb, using Blizzard decreases the cooldown time of Frozen Orb. Then you go to Frozen Orb, which makes your Blizzard instant cast, and then you cast Blizzard again. But for this demonstration, I will start the way I said. So without further ado, let's get into it. Pre-pot, Icy Veins, Bloodlust, Frozen Orb, this, and then I just spend my Fingers of Frost procs. Use Blizzard again, spend Fingers of Frost procs. If I don't have any, that's only when I use Flurry, and then use Rune of Power, spend some Fingers of Frost procs, Blizzard, and then keep going. 1, And that's the only time I use flurry, when I don't have any other. And 1, 2, 1, 2, and so on. At some point, I would like to utilize my shifting power in order to decrease my icy veins timer as well as my frozen orb timer. And then keep going. And then use blizzard, keep spamming that, use rune of power when it's up. Now I use blizzard in order to get frozen orb much quicker, and then keep repeating. Now this is the usual rotation. Sometimes when the targets are like much higher, or when the situation requires it, you can combine frozen nova and ice nova into this rotation. When your second icy veins is up, you use your second bloodlust. Do this only for like the mega packs or certain boss encounters. When there are mobs that you need to interrupt, that's when you make use of Dragon's Breath. If it's a huge pack, use Ice Nova, Frost Nova. If there's something you need to like freeze, use Frost Nova, and so on and so forth. It just keeps going like this. Yeah, that's pretty much it for AoE, and as you can see, it's sick damage. Before ending the video, I want to mention one simple thing. Now, you might have watched this video, and thanks to me, or maybe thanks to your own ability, you are now able to pump out amazing single target and amazing AoE damage on target dummies. However, when it comes to doing this on an actual Mythic Plus scenario, you may find yourself struggling. For that, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for my next video, because in my next video, I will be going through every single dungeon there is in Dragonflight Season 1, apologies. And I will show you where to use your cooldowns, where to use your potions of power, when to use Dragon's Breath, what buffs you should spell steal, what kind of positioning you should have in order to avoid certain frontals or certain AoE damaging abilities, such as Tidal Bursts in Temple of the Jade Serpent, what kind of baiting techniques there are in order to like avoid certain damage from certain bosses. For example, Advisor Melanders, there's a perfect baiting technique for this boss. That also goes for the first boss in Halls of Valor, Heimdall. So basically, in that video, I will explain every single detail a Frost Mage needs to know. Okay, folks, that's it for today. Take care. Before I go, I just wanted to mention that only a very small portion of my viewers have actually subscribed to the channel. If you want to see more Mythic Plus runs, more DPS guides, more gold farms, and pretty much anything World of Warcraft related, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would really appreciate it if you do. Thanks so much, and stay frosty.